Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is RJ. So today we're dropping in on Townstar. The first competition of Mayhem is drawing to a close, so we're going to drop in, see how we're getting on, check out our town, and we're also going to be talking about everything that's gone on, so keep watching. Okay, and welcome to another video. And remember, if this is your first time visiting my channel and you want to learn more about how to earn cryptocurrency for free, about cloud mining sites, crypto investments, and lots of other crypto related stuff, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to tag that notification bell so you're alerted to all my latest content as it comes online. Okay, so as you can see, we are here in Townstar, and yes, we are coming to the end of the first competition. We have just over 1 day left. Normally on a Sunday is when I'm sort of doing my wind down. I'm, telling you this and that, and this is where we're going to end up. But being Mayhem, all the competitions running through this month have different time limits. So the first one is actually 1 day longer than a regular weekly competition. And then I think we're going to have a couple of sprint competitions. So some that might only last like 3 days, some that might last as little as 2 days, and then another one that might last a bit longer. But anyway, I have to say the title Mayhem so far has definitely been apt, because this competition has been filled with mayhem. Unfortunately, obviously, I was hoping from what had happened in the last competition, where things were just simply not right and did not work as they should do, which I personally feel sort of ruined everybody's experience of the relaunch of the competitions. And I was hoping that basically coming into Mayhem that those issues would have been sorted. Some issues or some things have seemed to be working better, but essentially this competition has been blighted with the dreaded rollbacks, and this is an absolute nightmare when it comes to building a town. When you're putting in, say, an hour's worth of work, you've put down X amount of buildings, you've completed your fuel depot, then there is a reset or a rollback, and you've got to start all over again, or a lot of what you have built is no longer there, and things like that, which it's like I say, I mean, I said this in the last video. It's not I'm angry or annoyed or anything like that about it. Yes, it is a little frustrating when you're in the game and you're dealing with those things, but it's just disappointment. I mean, we had 3 months. We had what, 2.5 months or something, 3 months off. Like 2 months off, and then they did the relaunch. That had major issues with that, to the point where they stopped the competition. And then this one again has been just inundated with those problems again, and that's what's disappointing, because everyone, they hype it up, they tell us that all these things are going to happen, it's going to be an amazing, absolutely brilliant competition. But surely full well they must know in the background that a lot of this stuff has not been tested or is not 100% working. So that's what I get disappointed about, because at the end of the day, and it's not even about any sort of investing in money or anything like that, but we play the game because it's fun. We play the game because we enjoy playing the game. Yes, obviously there is the bonus that we can earn cryptocurrency while doing it, but essentially, if it becomes that it's just like absolutely pulling teeth, you're just not enjoying it. And I'm sure that people will start to move away if this continues to happen. I mean, we've got another 3 competitions. Are those competitions going to be having the same problems? And then the only one thing I will say, which I actually found very interesting, was they sort of did explain why the rollbacks happened. If we dive into our Discord, go in here, and then we go to the Townstar announcements. Here, here, where you see when it's talking about the Ledger of Truth, basically, the idea of the Ledger of Truth is that it, what's the word? That it recognizes and it sort of weeds out any violations or abuse of the game, and then it's catalogued, and then essentially the Ledger of Truth is meant to take an action. That action is to roll back that town to the point prior to the violation or prior to the cheating. So essentially, the idea is it's just meant to make the person that's cheating get fed up with it, keep rolling back, and then they just play the game legitimately. That is the premise behind it, I guess. Or they get fed up and leave the game because they can't cheat. But the problem is that these issues, these rollbacks, when they're happening, are affecting nearly everybody. I mean, in the last competition, the relaunch, I couldn't do two things. You know, I couldn't do two things. You know, I couldn't build more than 2 or 3 buildings before I got a rollback again. So, and this competition, I've not actually been affected. I don't know why I was not affected, and no end of people were. Obviously, I'm not the only person that was not affected. I was just one of the lucky people, or one of the lucky few, that didn't seem to be affected. But that is basically the reason why this is happening, is because their anti-cheat program, AI, or whatever it is, this Ledger of Truth, rather than only rolling back the offending town, it's rolling back everybody, or it's rolling back huge amounts of towns rather than just that particular one, which I thought was actually very interesting. But at the same time, I also thought, well, this should have been sorted out before you guys even decided to have a competition. Now, the way they got around this was basically by disabling part of the Ledger of Truth. So the ledger itself was still working. So it's still sort of recognizing violations, like making note of them into this ledger. So, and then basically what they were doing, what the town was doing, the team were doing, the devs were doing, were manually, or according to this, would be essentially manually rolling back towns, or manually removing towns and stuff like that. And I basically just thought to myself, well, surely, you know, that would be the better way to do it anyway. I mean, if this thing, you know, definitely can sort out the difference between someone cheating and someone that's not cheating, and then list it, you know, why not? I mean, why not just have a person or a couple of people picking up on these flags and then taking the action? I realise that Gala don't have a huge team, even though they're taking new devs on quite often. So obviously they want to focus all those efforts on the development of the game, development of the platform, and all that kind of stuff. But I think to completely leave this kind of thing, which is really important, you know, this removing cheaters, removing hackers and abusers of this game, especially in the competitions. I mean, it only really needs to be done in the competitions. At any other time, it doesn't matter, because people are just claiming their town points or town coin or whatever it is. That is it at any other time. But during the competitions, you know, that's when it's really required. That is when it's needed. But I think to just sort of let it do its thing, especially so early in the development of it. I just think it is just madness. It is absolute madness. And I think during the competitions, they could possibly spare a couple of devs to sit at a couple of monitors, or, and just flip it and watch, the ledger and see the violations and what's going on, and then make according action. Whether they completely remove the town, whether they roll back the town, or whatever they do. If they can do it manually, then and really, like I say, it only really needs to be done in the competitions. And if by doing it manually, it then does not affect the competition with these just random continual rollbacks to people that haven't actually cheated, well, then for me, that's the way to go. I think that's the way to go, because it's like I say, to just leave something like this in such early development to basically get on with it and it'll take care of itself. I just think that's just absolutely ridiculous. I just think that is absolute madness to have that kind of thought on something like this in such an early development stage. Anyway, I just went through that because I thought you would actually like to know why these rollbacks are actually happening, in case you hadn't picked up on this post in our Discord channel, or if you hadn't seen it in the Gala Games Discord channel. That is basically the reason. So like I say, I found it really interesting that was the reason, but I also just thought it was a bit mad that they thought that they could just let it get on with it and do it itself. When it's only really been live for a week, 2 weeks or something like that. Anyway, that is the reason. Okay, so what has gone on with our competition? So it's not been great, I have to say, but it's sort of down to me. Not that I did anything majorly wrong, but basically I had a strategy. I had a strategy in place. And unfortunately, it didn't work out, basically, because what happened was on the launch of the competition, so Tuesday evening, got basically my rush up and running. I did a wool rush, got that working really well. I got my fuel depot done in actually super quick time. I was really pleased, which then enabled me to get to bed nice and early, and then I woke up. Basically the next day I was out all day. I had to be out all day for work, so obviously that's pretty much a day gone. But the idea was I'd get home after work and continue in the evening. Unfortunately, I got home with an absolutely excruciating migraine. Now, for those of you that have never suffered from migraines, they are not just bad headaches. You have no idea how bad a migraine can be. But anyway, I basically got home. I went straight to bed. And I did not get out of bed until the next day at 1 p.m. So, well, actually, I think it was about maybe 11:30, 12 p.m. And obviously I had breakfast and stuff like that. And then by the time I got to my computer, it was about 1 p.m. So that was pretty much a day and a half that I lost. And my strategy was, and this is why basically I've ended up where I have, my strategy was to do a uniform build. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, uniform build, it's a waste of time. It's not the ideal build. Everyone's doing blue steel, blah, 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 which I know. And I know that. I know all that. But basically, my strategy was to do a uniform build. And, I mean, on the first day when I went to bed, I was in the top 400, top 300 or something. And I woke up in, I think it was 1,200 and something. So obviously a lot of people had passed me overnight, but I'd got a good amount of money, so I should have been fine to continue that evening. But like I say, I didn't, But the strategy was to basically get to a uniform build, because a uniform build you can get together a lot faster than a blue steel build. So my idea was to try and basically get up the leaderboard as far as possible, as high as possible, and as fast as possible, knowing that when the blue steel people started moving up, I would then start to slip down. But I figured that even if I got up high enough, that the furthest I would probably slip down is maybe top 400, top 500. So, and I would have been quite pleased with that, knowing that obviously a uniform build was not the optimal build. But because of losing a day and a half's worth of gameplay, that simply did not happen. So I ended up... so basically when I started building... I was in this is when I started building at 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. So like I say, when I went out on Wednesday, I was at 1200 and something, and then when I started building on Thursday, I was in 1615th place. And then once I'd built my town, so obviously, you know, that takes quite a while, I dropped down to 1739th place. So obviously that is quite a way to kind of claw my way back. Obviously, I mean, I was still in the top 2000, so we were still going to earn that, you know, a minimum of $50 as long as we sort of stayed there. Currently, I am now in 1404th place. So all of yesterday, I was about 1379th place. Pretty much most of yesterday, I just I drop down to 1368th and then go back up and then drop down and go back up, and I was just up and down, yo-yoing all day. But that's what we're at the moment. But to be quite honest, I think we probably might have still been around that, or might have even been a little bit better. But you'll find that when you're in a situation like this, you start looking at your town and you start thinking, right, you know, is there absolutely anything I can do to make this town better? And funnily enough, I did about 3 or 4 tweaks, which obviously again slow down your production. So you know, when you do get back to full production, you're really hoping that those tweaks you've done have made a significant improvement to the point where you're going to start moving up the leaderboard again. So the 3 tweaks I did, also as well, just to let you know, this is showing 70 per hour. It's actually about 73, 74, but because I'm using my screen recorder, it tends to make use up resources, and therefore it slows things down. So that's why. So we're actually a little bit more than that. We're about 74. But what's funny is I did 3 tweaks. All I thought would make a real difference. And every time we ended up back at the same place. We ended up between 72 and 74 per hour. So I could have just left it, and you never know, we could have moved up a few more slots. But then what happens is, I've started to get, last night, I clearly was getting caught by the blue steelers, and that's when I started dropping as well. So it might not have made really any difference, but I think I found it funny. I found it funny that I literally spent ages looking at my build, trying to figure out what I could do, then moving things around, adding stuff, taking stuff out, all that kind of stuff. I definitely feel I streamlined my town, but weirdly enough, it never produced anymore. So that is just the really annoying thing about it, is it didn't actually produce anymore. It just, all it did was basically slow me down because of stopping and starting my town, or slowing my production down to make these changes. So just a word of advice is, if you're in that kind of situation and you think of it as something you can do, think about it and just think, okay, if I do that, is that going to make a big enough difference to my town to be worthwhile? And that's sort of what I should have been thinking. But but the thing is as well, the tweaks that you do, you don't know how they're going to impact on your town. You just think that is going to be better. But then obviously, like I say, you slow your town down by doing those tweaks. So yeah, sometimes it's just best to leave these things alone. So we'll have a quick look at my town now, so we can scroll out. So this is my town. So like I say, we normally, without the screen recording, we're at about 73, 74 uniforms per hour. I think the highest anybody else I've heard doing was 80. So the fact that I've got up to about 74, and you can see I have hardly any fabric plants at all. I've actually got a space here which I could put another fabric plant in because it's right next to a power station. The thing is though, is that I'm overproducing on cotton yarn, and I'm producing a good amount of wool yarn. So it's like I don't really know what there's no point in really putting anything else there. That's what I was thinking, is like it didn't really seem any point. I mean, I could put another ATV, or I could put another logger that could make a slight difference, but I don't think it's going to make a significant difference. So that's why I've ended up with that space there. I moved a warehouse. I had a warehouse there, and I moved that to here. So I've got a warehouse here and a warehouse here. And the idea behind that, if anybody's wondering, was these are my uniforms. So I've got 4 uniforms here. And basically the idea was that these guys or girls, people, did not have to travel as far to get their items. So these 4 down here are all producing wool yarn. You've got 4 here that are producing uniforms, and then you've got these up here that are all producing cotton yarn. And like I say, I just wanted these warehouses as close as possible so my uniforms didn't have to travel as far to get the items required to make uniforms. So that was the sort of thing about it. And the other thing, and this is why basically uniforms is really not a great build to do, is, as you guys know, I have a wheat stand, which is right here. But the wheat stand now will only give me, what is it? 8. I think is it 8? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So those feeders around that area there, they are all being fed, I guess, by the wheat stand. These ones up here are basically being filled, as you can see, by my ATV. So, and the reason for that is basically because when they changed the rules, essentially they nerfed all wheat stands, which I still don't understand, because they never nerfed any of the other NFTs. And obviously these are items that people have paid for. as I've said in the past, I was lucky enough that I didn't. I was gifted it by a viewer and subscriber, so I was very, very lucky. But, people paid a lot of money for these things, and then we ended up with them producing half the amount. So basically, what then that leads to is a requirement for wheat to fill the extra ones. And if you ever look at any of my past builds, this area here, where is now my cotton, that would be filled with fabric plants as well. So the reason why you're producing so less is basically you just don't have enough fabric plants, because and obviously if you've got all of that would be cotton. This would be fabric plants. Not all of that would be fabric plants, but I think it's like an extra 4 or 5 you have there. But that boosts you. That is what boosts you, and that enables you in the old builds to get up to like 120 uniforms per hour, which is why everybody was doing uniforms, because nothing could compete with uniforms. Even like blue steel, even some of the real top builds could not compete with uniforms, because people had just, refined it and refined it and refined it and got it to such a point where it was just the build. If you did not have, if you had a wheat stand, you could do NFTs and you could basically beat pretty much anyone. Any other standard build, you could get. Obviously, if the other people had, huge NFTs and stuff like that, then that obviously made the difference. That could be the balancer, the equalizer. But because I'm in this situation, like I say, we've had to put our wheat here and we've put our cotton there, which is then minimized minimized the amount of fabric plants we could do. And the way you lay them out and all that kind of stuff, it makes a massive difference. It really does. So this is basically my sort of my build for uniforms. And like I say, I do think if I'd got it sorted when I wanted to get it sorted, we would be way higher. But I'm just crossing my fingers now that we stay in that top 2,000 to claim our $50 worth of Gala. And like I say, because the competition is running a day longer, I won't find out actually until tomorrow. And I'm actually out again all day tomorrow. So it'll be, but I'm guessing the competition probably won't finish until tomorrow evening anyway. So we should find out then. So the other, I guess, in one sense, I have some good news with the they did a competition, a referral competition. Well, it's not really a competition, but basically, if you could get 10 referrals, you would then get a free NFT, which is this feed bot. And here we can see that I did qualify for that, but I have had no referrals during Mayhem. And what was good of Gala was they actually took into consideration your past referrals. So referrals that I'd had some time ago that had been playing Townstar, that allowed me to be, or enabled me to be to qualify for the feedbot. So I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that has ever signed up to Townstar using my link. It's very much appreciated. And at the end of the day, I appreciate all of you guys, the fact that you come and watch my channel. The only real disappointment with the feedbot, and obviously I realise I am very lucky that I've got one at all. I'm not complaining. The only disappointment was that basically when you click on this, it says here, I'll be delivered soon. Check your treasure chest on Gala for arrival. And unfortunately, it's still not turned up. But weirdly, if you click here, it shows that something that basically I've placed something there, which is the little shed that the feedbot will live in. But as you can see, there's no actual NFT there at the moment. And when I queried this on the Gala Games Townstar discussion, apparently the official release for the feedbot is not going to be until beginning of June, so end of the competition. So, which is a real shame because, you know, I could do with all the help I can get, you know. And, you know, I was kind of hoping that if I got it now, it could, you know, it could have made the difference, or, you know, a few points difference, which might have kept me moving up that leaderboard if I'd got it in this competition. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, and I will have to, or will, everybody that got them will have to wait until June before we do. But like I say, at the end of the day, I realise I am very fortunate to have got one at all. So many thanks again to all of you that used my link to sign up to Townstar. And I really hope that you are enjoying playing the game and you're learning more and more about how to build good producing towns. And, you know, let us know, like I say, how are you getting on? Where are you in the competition? Where are you in the leaderboard? You know, and I hope that you're all doing a lot better than I am. And but yeah, let us, like I say, drop a post below this video and let us know how you're doing and how you're getting on. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I hope you found it helpful, fun and informative. And if you like what I do, it would be absolutely amazing if you could subscribe to my Patreon and support my channel for as little as $1, which then helps me bring more content to you. And if you're interested in those earlier videos that I talked about, probably on your screen right now. So get clicking and get watching. And I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.